everything.
Really neat. Yeah. Well, new on AM Extra now, a piece of Oregon history is looking shiny and new once again. A log cabin in the Mount Hood area, which historically has been used as a church, is opening to the public once again after a major restoration project.
The church is a Steiner cabin. It's one of about 100 cabins built by legendary craftsman Henry Steiner. His designs inspired the development of the Timberline Lodge. Cor Harlan visited the site to show us how it was brought back to life.
Well, welcome to the 1937 Steiner Church up here on the flanks of Mount Hood. And I want to tell you, the name Henry Steiner may not mean a lot to everybody, but to some people who know of Henry Steiner and the 100 or so log cabins he built up here on the flanks of Mount Hood, the Steiner name is a pretty grand name, and it's a pretty prestigious name. I want to introduce you to Mike Gudge, who has moved the old Steiner Church from off of Highway 26 to this location off of Barlow Trail Road and redone it, and you've been working on it since when?
1976, 46-year restoration.
A lot of our restoration has gone on. Now, you knew Henry Steiner and worked side by side with him. What was that like?
I knew John, his son, yes.
Okay.
And I contacted him before I bought the church, see if it was viable. He came up and looked and agreed to help me restore it. And we worked up here off and on for about 20 years.
Well, I want to tell people that on the first Saturday of every month, the old Steiner Church is now available for people to come up and have a look at. A couple of things I want to dive into just involving the technical elements of this. All of these logs that make up this church were done by hand with an old draw knife, and you've done some of that. Tell me what that's like.
Hand peeled, yes, I've done a lot of draw knife work. It's grueling, sweaty, splinters, sap from the...
That was the hallmark of the Steiner cabins, though. They were all done by hand,
yes.
Made from materials not far from the building site, from scratch, right?
They tried to use trees from the property they were building on to save money. Otherwise, they had to buy them from the Forest Service for 50 cents a piece.
Wow. So Henry Steiner started this in 1925, and you say this church was probably sitting along Highway 26 when Franklin Roosevelt drove up Highway 26 for the dedication of Timberline Lodge.
Yes, absolutely. John Steiner, the son, remembers seeing it. He was in his mid-20s working on the church.
Wow, wow. Some other hallmarks of the Steiner cabins, and again, there's about 100 of them or so, most of them on private land, in and around Rhododendron Government Camp and those areas. These arched windows and the wagon wheels were really prominent features in his designs. Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, on most of the Steiners, the entryway, the porch, they had a wagon wheel spindle design, and then a lot of the doors were made from tree roots or tree trunks. Mm-hmm. That came up, branched out, and they cut it in half and then bookmarked the doors like they did here.
Making a cool arch window. A lot of the other, some of the other things too, the offset railings in a lot of his cabins. But most of all, what I appreciate and I have come to love about these Steiner cabins, and I think other people will too, is just the handcrafted nature of all this. It's just stuff that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, unique features. They were inexpensive summer cabins, but they made them all unique and special, and they all have special features.
So from now on, the first Saturday of every month, this Steiner, 1937 Steiner Church is available for you to come up and look at. Go to steinerchurch.com for more information on where it is and what it is and a little bit more history. We just don't have time to talk about all the history that's going into these cabins. But as you're coming up 26, you take the Brightwood exit and you get onto the Barlow Trail Road and follow your GPS from there to this church. Thank you for having us up here this morning. It's a beautiful restoration that's been underway since 1976. Congratulations on a job, long job, a well done job though, and a really neat restoration of a Steiner cabin here on the flanks of Mount Hood.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That is beautiful inside there.
So cool.
That's really cool. I'm glad they were able to complete it.
You think about all of the, not just the craftsmanship that went into building these cabins, but the fact that when they were built so long ago, I mean, that was a painstaking and time-consuming process.
No, that's a good call.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, really neat. Well, I'm glad to see that the project's finished. Mm-hmm.